but this video today is going to be about this truck right here. This truck here is a 2003 Peterbilt 379 with a C15 Caterpillar motor with 13-speed transmission. I bought this truck brand new in July of 2003. I drove it off the dealer's lot here in Tucson, Arizona at the Peterbilt dealer. And I think, I don't remember exactly, I think I paid $110,000 for this truck, brand new. That's the most I have ever paid for anything. My house did not cost that much money. So I was a nervous wreck when I bought this truck. And I remember the very first day driving it off the lot, I picked it up. I remember driving thinking, and I had never drove a truck this big. And I remember driving thinking, oh my God, this truck is huge. 13 speed. I have driven a 13 speed before, but this truck was just huge compared to what I was driving. And I was a nervous wreck, but I was filled with pride. And for you guys that know, I love trucks. You know, pretty much any kind of truck. I just love trucks. So I was full of a lot of pride that day when I was driving this truck home. But what I thought we'd do is I'm gonna walk around and every little ding, nick, has a little bit of a story on this truck. So I was going to wanted to walk around and kind of point out, like, example, up on the hood, one of my chrome little fender cover things, I guess you would call it, the fender deflector. Well, there's two stories to that. I hit a mailbox with one time, and I hit a deer. So, you know, that's what I thought I would do. I thought I would kind of walk around, we'll look at the truck, kind of go in depth about, you know, what happened when I had to fix this, what broke, what hasn't broke. All right, let's go outside. Let's talk about this truck, a little bit of the history of this truck. We got 2003 Peterbilt 379. I bought this truck brand new in July of 2003. Let's start with the color of the truck. When I bought this truck, it was originally white, the color it is right now. If you look closely down in the fender well in here, it might not show up, but that is like the color, the lime green color that it was painted after I bought it. If you go in the back here, you can see up in the top area up there, the green is starting to show through. So, and that was when I was leased to Interstate Van Lines. After I was done leased to them, I went to North American and North American Van Lines, and I repainted it white. So, this truck originally had painted air cleaners. Not sure why, but originally came from the factory with painted air cleaners. This piece right here is just a chrome wrap that I put around because as you can see, the paint has started to chip on the air cleaners. So I put this chrome wrap on there. Let's see what else from the factory. Everything you see is stock except for the chrome strip here and these chrome pieces right here. And then this piece here, you see this bungee right here holding that. There's a screw that actually came out right here, and I put that bungee on there one day to hold it, and that bungee has been on there for quite a while. I just either too lazy to fix it, or there's no need to fix it because it was working. So what else came from the factory? I'm trying to think of stuff. Oh, these little chrome pieces, I added those on, and I added those on right after I bought the truck, because after I bought it, I had a generator installed, and it was not this generator, it was another one. This is a BlackRock. The company's no longer in business. Oop, trip and fall over. And of course the roof mount air conditioner, I installed that. So but let's go ahead, let's talk a little bit about the history. That's kind of where it came from. So what you see is pretty much stock from the factory. This piece right here, you see this dent right here? That first dent came from a mailbox. And like I said, I did household goods, and I did household goods, and I would deliver into neighborhoods, and you'd be surprised at some of the tight neighborhoods I would have to get into. And I bumped a mailbox. I wasn't going very fast, but I bumped a mailbox, knocked it over, and and luckily I had that little chrome piece there, because it dent that little chrome piece, but it didn't dent the truck, which was a good thing. And the guy wasn't home, and I ended up having to knock on the door. I was moving his neighbor. I put a note on the door and everything. Never really heard anything about it, but I did feel bad. I knocked the guy's mailbox over. So that's that bump right there. Now, there's a second dent on that piece. That happened 2012. I want to say 2012, 2013. My wife was with me. We were over near in Illinois. Oh, I can't think of the name of the town. Over by Bloomfield, Bloomington, Illinois, I think it is. We were over there, and it was just getting dusk, and a deer had run across the road. And let me show you. A deer had run across the road, and his head, if you look, you see that dent right there? That's from his horn. So when that deer ran across the road, I got super lucky, because I hit him dead center of the truck. So right in this area right here was where the body of the deer hit. And it didn't bend the bumper, because the force hit right here and a little bit right here. And I'll show you. If I stand over here, you can look, you see how that's bowed in just a little bit. Now when I hit that deer, that was bowed in further, and it was actually pushed up into here. And what I ended up doing was I took a 4-inch strap with the hook, and I hooked the strap right down there. There's the brace is right there, and I pulled that brace out. So I kind of straightened that up myself. But that is the original bumper on this truck. So you can imagine this bumper right here has seen over 1 million miles. Now, I hit a snowbank one year and kind of dented it in right down there. I got a chain out, straightened it up a little bit. I hit a dog. Unfortunately, I hit a dog one time, and it bent it a little bit over here. The dog had run out in the road. There was just nothing I can do. So let's see. So that's kind of the front. Everything else here is original. Like I said, the bumper's original. Now these things here, I get a lot of, I don't say crap, but when I was doing household goods and I would get into areas that were hard to get into, when I would have and these don't light up, these are more of a like a guide stick for me, that I know I can get all the way up next to something with this stick, and I put that stick right there next to something, and I know I won't hit the truck. So I use them more for guidance than anything. Let's see what else. Oh, that rim, you see that scratch? See that scratch on that rim right there? I hit a curb in Kansas City. I was delivering household goods, and that's where that scratch on that rim came from. It's right there. Let's walk around. This step right here, over the years, and you can't see it because this is covering it up, but over the years, that step, my big butt jumping in and out of the truck, had kind of bowed in a little bit, and I ended up putting a brace. That's what these 4 bolts are. I ended up putting a brace in right there, and that helped it. That is the original exhaust system. As you can see, when I changed the mufflers, and I changed this part right here. I bought cheap mufflers, and you can see they're rusting, and that's what the rust lines are from. Let's see, this was added I put this on, that chrome strip on. I bought that right after I bought the truck. Of course, the headache rack, the satellite dish, I added all that. Oh, I did get somebody asking me why I have two different kinds of tires. And if you go back, you'll see the video of where I blew tires, and I kept blowing tires on the side of the road. It was cheaper to have them bring me steer tires. So I have a set of drive tires on the back axle, which the power is always on the back axle. And then I have a set of steers. I think that helped my fuel mileage a little bit, not a lot. Oh, this is the original quarter fender right here. And that dent right there is from when I blew the tire not too long ago. So you see that dent right there. This truck had a bad case of rust. You see up in here, I did have to strip it and repaint it, but it's starting to rust again. My mud flap hangers. I originally had those mud flap hangers, those chrome ones that are like spring loaded. But I was in a truck stop in Norfolk, Virginia, Frank's Truck Stop, and you've heard me talk about Frank's Truck Stop before. I was in Frank's Truck Stop, and I was backing up into a parking spot, and there was a big hole, and the mud flap, when I was going backwards, the mud flap went like this, and it hung down just a little bit further, but it got hung up on the wheel, and when I was backing up, it pulled the mud flap down, and it ended up breaking one of those hangers. So ever since then, and that was a while back, it was back when I was doing household goods, so it's been a while back. Ever since then, I just put these little cheap brackets on there, and you know, they work. It's kind of ugly, but they've worked. Over the years, I've kind of always told myself, oh, you know, I should get some new brackets, but just never have. So all right, that's the driver's side. Oh, deers. Let's talk about deer. I had a deer. I hit the deer in the front. I had a deer, and this is a long time ago. He ran and he got caught right here, right in the middle right there. And it was pretty bad. It was pretty gross looking, but he had run right in the middle there, and I hit him, and he went up under the wheels. But luckily he did not damage anything. But yeah, there was fur and everything all over the side of the truck right there. Okay, let's go look at the passenger side. We'll take a look and see what little stories I can tell you about that. Oh, same thing on the passenger side back here. These poor ugly mud flap hangers that just were never quite right. The new truck does have the chrome spring-loaded mud flap hangers, so hopefully it will look a little bit better. This truck never had air slide fifth wheel. It has what they call stationary fifth wheel, but it is adjustable. And so when I started doing flatbed, I ran it right in the center of the wheels. I seem to work the best. Let's see over here. The generator, I had the generator put on in that generator put on in 2000 and I want to say 6, 7, somewhere in that neighborhood. I had that generator put on. That generator's got 24,000 hours. My very first generator, I did it the old school way. I bought a little gas generator. I had it mounted in the back, and then that's when I installed the roof mount air conditioner, is when I had the little gas generator. The last little gas generator was okay, but boy, it was a pain in the butt getting gas, filling up the generator, and everything else. So I went with a generator called Tagalong, and that was the biggest piece of junk that I ever bought. But this one here was really good. This one's held up good. So over here, like I said, you know, except for that one little piece of flex pipe that I replaced, that you guys saw the video, the rest of the exhaust system's original. That's over 1 million miles on that exhaust system. The same way with on the suspension. I haven't rebuilt anything on the suspension or the front, and you know, it drives straight. There's no issues. You know, so all in all, this is a good truck. I know, let me get out of the sun. I know that I had talked about in other videos buying like an International or a Volvo, but when I started looking for another truck, it's actually my dad said, man, why don't you just buy another Peterbilt? The one you have has served you well. Why don't you go ahead and get another one? And I got to thinking about it, and he was absolutely right. You know, so hopefully, you know, and I told him, I said, well, you know, the Peterbilts cost a little bit more money than what I was looking for, you know, what I wanted to spend. And he says, yeah, they cost more money because supposedly it's a better truck. So, and he was absolutely right. And my dad is not a truck driver and doesn't know too much about trucks, but that's what pushed me over to shop more on the Peterbilt side of things when I was looking for another truck. So, you know, I have said I never was brand loyal, but you know, I'm glad he did, because I started looking a little more in depth at Peterbilt. I actually wasn't even looking at Peterbilt because for what I wanted to spend, I didn't think I could find what I wanted. So so anyway, that's how I ended up with buying a new another Peterbilt. So, and plus my wife's truck was a Peterbilt, and we had a lot of success with that truck. So hopefully Peterbilt will do me well. So let's see what else we got over here. I think we've talked about everything out here. You know, we'll raise the hood, we'll look at the motor again, and I'll talk about what I've done to the motor, what I haven't done to the motor. And so let me get the hood up, and then we'll talk about the motor. Let's start on the driver's side here. We got a 2003 C15 Caterpillar. Let me see if I can get this up here so you can see it. See the C15 Caterpillar. 475 horsepower, if I remember correctly. And once again, the motor has 1,276,000 miles, something like that. I have not done anything. I take that back. The only internal thing that I've had to do to this truck was I had to replace an injector, one time, and it wasn't terribly bad, but it was bad enough that it was spitting and sputtering just a little bit. Other than that, I replaced the air compressor a couple years ago. I had to put a new air compressor on. I put a new clutch in a couple years ago. The old clutch had almost, I think it was like 900,000 miles on the old clutch. Let's see, on the front side here, the only thing I had to replace was the air-to-air cooler. For when I hit that deer, it had bowed in and bent it in a little bit. Now it wasn't leaking, but it was bent. And insurance covered that. I went ahead and replaced that, so I put a new air-to-air cooler on it. Let's see what else on the front here on the driver's side. Original gearbox for the steering. That's about it over here. You know, original suspension components, drag link, everything. So, you know, this truck is just you know, it's been a really good truck. It's just that I felt that its long haul over the road days were getting close to the end, and I did not want to end up out on the road with a catastrophic failure and then have to get it fixed anywhere, and then have to put a bunch of money into a truck that still has over 1 million miles on it. So, you know, and that's kind of along the lines of my thinking of you know, why it's time to I guess you can say put her out the pasture. But okay, over here we got the alternator. I've gone through a lot of alternators, air conditioning, compressor. Actually, the air conditioning system on this truck has been pretty good. I just had it done, I want to say last year. I think it was, yeah, last year I had the air conditioning system redone. And prior to that, the old system was on there, I want to say 4 or 5 years. And you know, that's a long time, especially on a truck. Fan hub, I've never had to replace the fan hub yet. Original turbo, I did have to get, this is the oil cooler right here. I did have to get the oil cooler replaced, And here, look, remember I was telling you about those valves leaking a little bit right there? So I had to do that. I did have to get the oil cooler replaced, and then I had to get the transmission. If you look right down in there, hopefully you can see it, that is the transmission cooler right there, that little tube looking thing right there. I did have to get that replaced, and when those went out, it filled up the whole radiator full of oil, and so I had to get all that flushed and everything. So it was kind of a pain in the butt when it did go out. Original turbo, original water pump. Now I did have to replace the thermostats, and the thermostats are inside this housing right in here, and I did that job myself. It was quite a job, but I was kind of impressed with myself. At the time didn't have a lot of money, so I learned how to fix a lot of this stuff myself. But yeah, the thermostat housing is inside here, and I replaced the thermostats in there. Let's see, I talked about the transmission. Let's talk about this this drive axle back here. This truck's only left me on the side of the road, I want to say twice, maybe only once. The one time I remember it was the day after Thanksgiving. I was in Las Vegas, and I was driving, and all of a sudden I heard a pop, and I had busted the front drive axle, the pumpkin in there. Something had broken there. I'm not real sure what part broke, but luckily I had like 480 something thousand miles on it at the time, and my warranty was up to 500,000 miles, and luckily my warranty covered it. But this tow truck, the biggest tow truck I'd ever seen, came to pick me up day after Thanksgiving in Las Vegas to tow me to the Peterbilt shop. I'm trying to think. I don't think it's left me, other than that, I don't think. I've been pulled out of the ditch twice, but that was my own fault, and it wasn't a crash. I was trying to get turned around. I was doing household goods. When I was doing household goods, man, I would end up in some crazy places. And I got the trailer hung up in a ditch one time turning around, and in the Little Rock I got hung up, and I had to have a tow truck come get me. But as for being towed off the side of the road, I think it was only one time, and that was in Las Vegas, Nevada. So, and that was this front drive axle right here that had busted, and it was under warranty. I was talking about the suspension components. I did replace all the airbags. I replaced all the airbags on the suspension. There's two little airbags up under the cab too, and I had those replaced at the same time. The two that are up under the cab don't wear out as fast as the two on the back here. So other than that, that's it. All right, we're back up in the truck. Let's go ahead and end the video. I hope you guys like this walk around. Like I said, kind of share a little bit of the history of the truck. This truck's been part of my life for 14 years. And that's one reason why it was kind of hard to say I'll just trade it in. I mean, I know the truck's worth money, but it's like a teenager and his first new car. You know, it means a lot to me. So you know, I'm gonna hang on to it. It's got a lot of good memories. Me and Teresa had a lot of fun in this truck. She used to drive this truck. You know, we've spent, you know, many a days and nights talking to each other, sitting in this truck. So there's a lot of memories in this truck. You know, I told my wife, I said, you know, and she kind of got offended, and I didn't mean anything bad by it, but I said, you know, I've only owned 3 other things longer than this truck. And she said, what's that? I said, I've been married to you, I've had my daughter, and I have my house, and then the truck. So those are the 4 things, you know. So this is one of the items that's been in my life for a really long time. So you know, it means a lot to me. So it's kind of one reason why I don't really want to get rid of it. But anyway, And that is the worst thing you can do with a piece of equipment, is get sentimental value. But you know, for right now, I will keep it, park it, take care of it, start it up for a while, and somebody offers me enough money, I'll sell it.